Welcome back to the Purple Politics Podcast. I'm your host, Ben.
And I'm Rick.
And it's that time of the week when Rick and I sit down to go through the headlines.
In the current media landscape, everything is printed in red or blue. Ben and I try to find the purple area between the lines.
We ask questions, apply logic, and discover what stories were written by the headline heroes.
Just like the news, we're not always right and we don't always agree, but we always look for some sort of common ground.
Let us know what you think. Leave us a comment or send an article you'd like us to discuss over at purplepoliticspodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or at Rick and Ben on Twitter. Yeah, so this week in the news, right out of New York City, this isn't a local story, but it's close enough for us. They call it a cutting-edge program to help severely mental ill people live on their own. Now, I have a background in, this type of subject, but so it's always close to home with me. I feel for these people, and I'm always about they need to be on their own and stuff. But it seems that this article from the New York Times is suggesting that these people are being let out of like the mental institutions and the hospitals and the assisted care facilities way too early. In this situation, there was a man named Abraham Clemente in Flatbush, Brooklyn. He was in a program, and the New York City determined that he was capable of living on his own. He had medication. He's suffering from schizophrenia and stuff. But here's some of the things that happened. When they went to his apartment to check on him, there was a huge stench. He had maggot-infested scrambled eggs strewn across his floor, a spoiled cantaloupe, which I've had a spoiled cantaloupe in my house. You stick it in the...
Yeah, but it wasn't spoiled to the point where it was liquefied and melting into your floor.
It might have been.
Okay, Ben's a slob.
But it does say it seemed to be melted. But there was also like feces ground into the carpet. And my wife deals with an apartment complex that has mentally ill people living there. Just like this, they've been let out of their assisted living. The state funds their living. Some places have had to have like their stoves disconnected. Suggests that they shouldn't be living on their own.
Yeah.
It may not have been legal. Who knows? I'm probably getting her in trouble. But so yeah, he had schizophrenia. He kept the shower and sink running for the oxygen, quote unquote. I guess he had blamed a kitchen fire on a doll nailed to a cabinet, and he believed he could he believed he could crush and smoke his antipsychotic medication to achieve its intended effect. Now, already we're like, all right, this man shouldn't have been able to leave the hospital. But until he started smoking his medicine, he might have been normal.
Well, you know what? Let's just be
honest. Let me take that back. Not he might have been normal. He might have, because
he might have been able to
live on his own. I just didn't want to
see
him.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody knows you're an asshole, Ben. You don't have to justify anything.
All right, say what you were saying.
The point I'm getting at is, what we do with our people that have mental illness. The programs suck.
Right.
Okay. They suck.
They're definitely underfunded.
They're underfunded. Nobody does anything, and the only time mental illness comes in is when there's a mass shooting or some horrific event happens, and a person that has a mental disability or is mentally ill or schizophrenic. Well, that's the reason why it happened. And everybody goes into an uproar, and we got to improve this here system. And then, a week later, maybe the president, tweets something goofy, or, somebody's, or somebody's accusing somebody of something, or, whatever. And then we get off this topic. So,
right.
So the topic gets ping ponged and never gets addressed. And this is a perfect example. And I agree with you. I bet you when they let him out,
he was fine.
I bet you he, had enough faculty where he could probably take care of himself. But my question is, who checked in on this man?
That's where the funding comes in. And that's what I was going to get at is we way underfund this type of stuff and elderly care, and we way overfund military stuff.
The wall.
The wall. Yeah, fuck the wall. Like, God damn.
Yeah.
But the problem is you're right. When he was taking his medicine, he probably was fine. And the evaluation at the place. But what happens a lot of the times is people get out and they're taking their medicine and they believe they're fine. And they're like, well, if I just miss a pill.
Or I don't need to take my medicine because I'm fine.
Because
now.
I'm fine.
And,
yeah,
and that's where most of it, they believe that they're fine. So they stop taking their medicine.
Yep.
And by the time they get all squirrely again.
It takes just a little bit for them to start hearing that voice again.
Yeah.
And then now you need to be forced to take your medicine again because that voice controls you.
Right.
You know, nobody else can hear it, but it's there.
Well, the only solution here is if it's that the program's that underfunded. If a caseworker can't visit this individual on a regular basis for X amount of time, then they don't put them out on their own. They got to keep them in the institution because if that's where the funding is, then that's where they're going to get their best care.
And here's where my conspiracy theory comes in. Is I don't know when the last time you were down in New York City is.
Last year, I think. I think it was last year. Yeah.
But until I switched jobs, I was there every week, all week.
Oh, yeah.
And there is just a lot of mentally disabled or people imitating mental disability.
Yeah.
Because I can't.
They're not all, that's for sure.
Right.
But yeah, I think that is a perfect statement. People appearing or acting to be mentally unstable.
Disabled.
And then you have some truly mentally unstable people out there that desperately need help.
But I think there's enough that desperately need help that they overwhelm the system.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you have to push out to bring in.
Yeah.
So now you're kind of forced because there is only so much space for so many people.
Right.
So you may cut corners and be like, okay, Bob over there was good when he really wasn't good, but I really need to get Susie in here because she is batshit crazy.
Well, you know what would have been a great idea? And yeah, I'm going to say it. Maybe we shouldn't have built a bridge next to the Tappan Zee Bridge and named it after somebody. Maybe we should have just repaired the Tappan Zee and then taken some of that money and put it into this problem here, which is far greater.
Those are ideas,
bridge.
Rick. We don't use ideas in New York State.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a headline hero this week, but I kind of do with this one. So they talk about all the bad things that have happened with like the mentally disabled people that have left these places. And one man drank himself to death. Another man suffered a fatal heart attack in the foyer of his building during a blizzard and naked. One woman was choked and left dead in a bathtub last year. And 3 of the people of interest in the murder are fellow supported housing residents. So I'm assuming from this article that these people are put into the same housing development, which says to me that they should be looked at. And the family of another woman believes her mental health declined when she moved into supported housing. So yeah, it says right there, supported housing. And that contributed to her suicide. Now, certainly many people, this is according to the New York Times article, certainly many people flourish when given the chance to live independently. A court-reported monitor has interviewed more than 300 people who have moved out of adult homes and has said for the most part they are satisfied with the change. Now, here's the problem I have with this article. Is they went on and on and on about how bad it is, and then they show that there's like 300 people that did good. But it's just like going to the casino. It's odds.
Oh, absolutely.
I can take this into any part of society. You just take kids moving out of their home from their parents. The odds are going in the favor that the same amount are going to go batshit crazy out on their own or do stupid shit.
Right.
So it is a big problem for me that these people are let out. I mean, especially if they're in supported housing and they're not getting support.
Right.
That's a big problem to me. But to make it seem like it's as big of an issue as it is, I mean, it's a big issue, but it's an odds thing. So many that get released are going to fail.
Oh, yeah. And and you know what? Somebody somewhere has already figured out what the percentage is of people that are going to fail. They already know these statistics. I guarantee it.
Yeah. So let's move on to something else depressing. We'll just keep it all depressing today.
Yeah.
So, that lady, that General Motors lady,
Mary Barra? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, Mary.
Oh, okay.
We just said her name a little bit ago, and I already forgot it. So, yeah, Mary Barra.
The 22, you know, you had the $1 million man growing up. Now you got the $22 million lady that works for GM as the CEO.
Yeah, and didn't she just lay off or say that she's going to shut down a plant
She's closing plants, laying people off in the meantime.
So
what does she make?
$22 million last year.
Yeah, how many people do you think you could employ with, let's say they paid her $2 million a year and they pumped $20 million back into General Motors, which is, by the way, a car company that taxpayers had to, well, we didn't have to bail them
But we
out,
did.
But we did.
So our bailout money. So you're asking how many people can she employ? Well, it's already 295 times the company's average employee, which means 295 extra people could have worked under her.
Yeah.
For that much money. So that's suggesting that like $74,000 was the average median. And that's not true, because under her 22 million, there's some other guy that was making 10 million, some other guy that was making 9 million.
Yeah.
And realistically, her average employee, what we would consider her average employee, was making like 40 grand.
Yeah.
Which still good money in this economy. Not enough.
Yeah.
Especially when somebody's making $22 million, which we've had other podcasts about this.
Yeah, but a lot of these auto workers, and I know this because I know some people who were auto workers and retired. These guys were making, with OT and double time. Some of these guys, they were making $100 grand a year. They were doing, they were really making some loot. So even a 40 grand, is less than a lot of them, generally make. But here's the thing. And I don't have and I don't have my laptop, so I can't look this up. But on the hood of every car, and what that means, what's figured into every car that comes off the assembly line, there is benefits for the retirees, people that are already retired. There's benefits for the employees. There's benefits for management. There's cost. All that is built in. And sometimes and people don't realize this, sometimes when these cars roll off the line, they're already lost. They're already a loser.
Yeah.
So you take a small car like, and I'll just use it for an example. What's Chevy's little car? They still have a Cobalt? Is that what it is?
There was a Cobalt. I got the Cruze.
Yeah, or a Cruze. There's a perfect example. There's a perfect example. So when General Motors rolls that car off the line and they sell it to a dealer, in some cases, this used to be the case with the Cavalier, is they would actually lose X amount of dollars per unit just selling it to the dealer.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that. But with that being said, how do you justify a $22 million a year paycheck? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's how broken they are.
Well,
Somebody's making $22 million and you're closing a factory.
Yeah.
How many families does that affect? Now, it's a spider effect, okay? It's a spider effect. So when you close that factory, I supply the factory. I supply them with plastic, or I supply them with wire. Do you see what I'm saying? Now my business suffers because I lost that account. So now I have to, my business has to shrink. I have to lay off. There's a big domino effect here that people don't realize. When one of these plants close, it doesn't just affect the employees that work there. It affects the businesses that supply them with materials.
Not only that, it affects the other business, the local businesses that
the diners
to supply the people that work there.
Yeah.
Because now the people that work there don't have the money to go to the, like you said, the diner, the clothing store.
Yeah, absolutely. In the meantime, this lady is just, her bank account's getting fat. It's $22 million.
She's not even going to notice. Some poor schmuck is going to starve, and she's not even going to notice.
Listen, these guys don't care, okay? Because if they did care, if this was food, this sin would be called gluttony.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Nobody needs to make $22 million a year. Okay. She doesn't own the company. She's the CEO.
Yeah.
All right. She didn't found it. She doesn't get licensing money. She didn't come up with a great idea.
But to close down factories and not take a pay cut yourself, like a huge pay cut,
Yeah, absolutely.
that shows a lot.
Yeah, if I made $22 million a year and all of a sudden the car business and this great economy that we have was slowing down, I would think that the pay should be tied into it. Especially, you know what I'm saying as far as, all right, listen, if you're not hitting your projections, how are you guaranteed this $22 million?
Exactly.
You know,
I
don't
if it's
get
failing to the point where you got to close down places, you are failing. You're
yeah.
at the top. The buck stops
Let me
at
tell you something. And she's the CEO, so she's responsible for everything that goes on in that company.
But
whether
all
she
she's
touches
worried
it or
about
not.
is shareholders.
Yeah.
That is
well,
all
you know
she's
what?
worried about.
And they reward her with $22 million a year. And what they don't understand is families suffer.
Yeah.
Other businesses suffer. They don't give a shit. General Motors hasn't learned shit. They haven't learned anything. The American taxpayer brought them back, and they're right back to the same old bullshit. The execs are getting... It's like these guys, these banks, you know, or insurance companies. You know, the CEOs of these insurance companies, you know, they're making $100 million a year, and the guy or the family or the lady making poverty level wages is paying $1,000 a month for health insurance.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's how fucked up our system is.
And they're making more money off the health insurance too.
Absolutely. And you know, and here's the thing. We just do it over and over and over again. Nobody changes it. It's like a skipping record.
Well, it's because we're all focused on something else.
Oh, yeah. Let's think about the wall. You know, let's think about, you know, they just distract you with all this bullshit.
At some point, the pitchforks will come out. That's still my favorite quote. I forget that billionaire over on the West Coast, but they're like, "Why are you going to pay your employees as much?" He's like, "Because at some point, the pitchforks will come out."
And you know what? If I take care of my employees, they're not coming for me.
But that's what he was saying. He's like, literally, they're going to string me up.
Yeah,
hang me. But this came from a PolitiFact article, and my favorite part of this article was this ratio that they brought up. That 295 times the amount of her average employee, that's not even the highest. In 2000, the average highest CEO, the top 10 companies were making 344 times what their average employee made. In 1989, it was only 58 to 1. Now, 58 to 1 still seems like a lot, but compared to 344 to 1, it shows how much of a less greedy time it was.
And what was the economy doing in 1989?
And then you go back to 65, and it was only 20 to 1.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, we allow greed to take over.
Back then, employers cared about employees.
Right. They don't care now, but we don't have a position to say, I mean, what are we going to do? Strike? You strike, they just go to a different state. They can't go to a different state. They just take it to a different country.
Right.
I mean, we're too global now.
Right.
So the only thing left, and I'm not suggesting that you guys do it, but is like that billionaire said, is to break out the pitchforks.
Yeah. Don't buy the product.
It's almost hard. Like, I get the cars. You can not buy a car, but everybody needs a car now. Everybody needs food. Like, the problem is there's not a lot of options other than a fight, and the fighting is illegal.
Ford's car division failed so hard they got rid of the cars.
Yeah.
They kept the Mustang. It's the only car that makes money. And then they make their money in trucks. You know? So I believe they're retooling their plants. And then some of the plants that they are closing down have already been either sublet or sold off or being used by other car companies.
Right.
Trying to get in the country. You know, have a plan.
Yeah, didn't Toyota buy?
I think so.
One of them?
GM don't have it. Listen, this lady, all right, well, where's her name? Mary
Barra?
Whatever. It doesn't. You know what?
It's
Greedy Pig.
Yeah,
that's her name.
Generic CEO.
You know, I'm not. Listen, I'm genuinely not hating on her for making $22 million. I think, you know what? God bless you. If you know that's.
I agree, but my problem is it doesn't make sense if you're shutting down plants.
Thank you.
Why aren't you taking a cut?
That's the point I'm making.
But then again, I will say this in her defense: this article only says what she made last year compared to her employees. She's closing down plants. Maybe she is taking a pay cut that we don't know about yet, because we're just basing this off an article. So I will say that in her defense, maybe she does have to take a pay cut, but on top of the pay cut, she has to close down factories.
And I'll go on the record and say this. I highly doubt it.
I saw it in your eyes.
Yeah. Listen, General Motors has learned nothing. And you know what? The reason they wanted to bail the car companies out is because so many Americans would have been out on the street and out of work. It was easier for us to bail these guys out, keep the jobs, and they turned right around and stuck it right in our ass.
All right. Well, speaking of idiots, Google, I almost said founder, but another CEO, Sundar Pichai or whatever his name is, he had to go before Google and explain why, or not go before Google, go before Congress and explain why when people type in idiot and go under images, Trump pops up. Now, if you were to have, yesterday, before I read this article, if you were to just say, hey, Ben, if you typed idiot into Google and clicked images, what would have popped up? Just guessing, I would have been like the Three Stooges or one of those people with the fan things on his hat.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought Trump.
No,
now,
me neither.
The Democratic chair or whatever, I forget who she was, but she asked, she's like, so why, when they search Google, does Trump pop up? And he said, well, we search we send out spiders to all these websites and we find out what's popular, what's fresh, how people are using it. And based on that, at any given time, we try to find the best results for your query. So you mean to tell me that more people are saying that, I mean, I guess that people are calling Trump an idiot, but people are tagging his picture with idiot than other things they're tagging with idiot?
Maybe.
His point was that, and her point was, is that Google is not in charge of what comes up. But my thing is yeah, there could be somebody behind the screen doing that.
Oh yeah, there could be, and my understanding, it's an algorithm that figures all this stuff out, anyways, which I think is proprietary, secret, whatever.
Right, but it's no secret that Google and they're liberal.
Yeah.
It would just take a click of a button for them to do that, which I don't even care. If you type in idiot and then my face pops up, I'd laugh my ass off.
Yeah, that's only on my phone, though. And I don't know why it does that. I don't know why it does that. I was just as stunned.
Man, you're with it today. You're killing me. But my point is he never says in this entire thing that they don't have a part in it. He's like, oh, well, the algorithm that we designed does this, and this.
Yeah.
But you know what? Bullshit. Not that I even care. It's just that
Listen, they have a responsibility to do it right. Okay? If they're influencing it to, idiot and for the president to show up, I get it. It's a political view, but you know what? Some people think Google is the gospel. Some people think everything you read on the internet is true, so you have a responsibility, to.
Yeah, but Google scares the shit out of me. Like, I mean,
Google's advancing.
I was reading one thing today. This lady, I don't think it was about Google. It might have been about Yahoo or something else, but
they still around?
Yeah. Yeah, they just took a big loss on like AOL and something else.
AOL's still around?
Well, Google had Yahoo had bought them.
Why? What, for like 50 cents, $1, $1.75?
A couple years ago, they bought them and they thought that they could turn that and then this other social media thing. I forget what it was.
To a high-speed dial-up service? I mean,
No.
what do you do with AOL?
Well, AOL had turned into like kind of like a Yahoo. They had like a search and like news and stuff. AOL News.
There was like 3 Yahoos using it, you mean?
Yeah, but Yahoo thought that they could put ads on it.
Oh.
And people still have. I got a buddy who still has AOL.com email.
Yeah,
so.
and he's got dial-up internet. I mean, come on,
he has
man.
better internet than me.
Yeah, because he never uses it.
But I forgot what we were talking about now.
I don't know. I mean,
so the lady, her child died. She had stillborn, and her computer keeps suggesting like newborn, like diapers, and like that's what pops up. I mean, Google knows a lot about you. Google knows how to feed off of your fears, feed off of your likes.
Yeah, if you have Gmail.
Because I guarantee,
me.
here's what I was reading the article. This is the thought that crossed my mind. You know what? If everybody loved Trump, his image would not pop up when it said idiot. That's what popped through my mind.
Right.
And I think that in their defense, yeah, maybe a lot of people do hate Trump, so that's why his name's under the idiot. But at the same time, I think it also feeds like the media mentality.
Sure, it does.
So
it does.
they promote it a little bit.
Yeah, let's say the election was 50-50. We know about a million votes. It was, popular vote was Hillary.
Yeah.
So let's just say it's 49% of the country didn't vote for the guy. His approval rating, let's say it's 40%, okay, which it may or may not be that high. It may be in the upper 30s, low 40s. I'm just guessing. It's not a statistical fact. So, let's just say it's 40. Now you have 60% of the population that's not too keen on what's going on. So if you have 60% of the population thinking the guy's an idiot,
yeah, maybe it will pop up.
Because the other 40% would have to have the same idiot in mind to compete.
I trust Google as much as everybody trusts Trump. So.
Oh, I never said I trusted Google. Come on. I'm just saying, if 60% of the population thinks he's an idiot, okay, and I'm not saying.
Well, I'm going to be
honest.
Honestly, idiot is not the word that I think that comes up with Trump.
It doesn't for me either.
Not even me personally, but I think just in general.
Yeah.
Say I'm a complete liberal left, which we know I'm not, but say I'm over there.
It would be funny if it was cheap.
It would be hilarious. I'd have hair too, but a nice little man bun.
Yeah.
But I still wouldn't be calling him an idiot. It'd be asshole, fuckface. Those would be the words. Idiot.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
So. Well, speaking of idiots, we got a third speaking of idiot story today. Found out before this podcast.
The guy in Tennessee.
It's going to be Tennessee, and found out that Rick over here likes his Kellogg cereal.
Yeah, not anymore.
Good thing I gave up cereal years ago.
I did, and you get to a certain age where you need to eat a little cereal,
just to get the morning going.
Just to get the morning going. So yeah, most recently, I have been buying some Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
Yeah.
But there's you go to the store and I can never remember. Do I get Post or do I get Kellogg's? Do I get Kellogg's? Do I get Post? I just know it's Raisin Bran, all right? And, of course, they're in a similar box, and it's done to trip you up because Post is like, I'm going to muscle in on them, and I'm going to make my box look similar, and I'll put a little happy face on there with some raisins.
Yeah, because maybe Rick will show up and forget which one he came for.
And I do every time. I have to ask one time I had to call her. I said, look, do I eat Post or do I eat Kellogg's? That's why when you said, do you eat Kellogg's cereal? I was a little hesitant. I had to think about it for a minute. I can ask my kids what kind of cereal they eat. They know. I have no clue. But I'm pretty sure after the podcast, I am going to check.
See, I'm exit oatmeal now, so.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure it's Kellogg. But it won't be from this day forward because,
Go for it. I'd let you know, so you let them know.
Yeah, I mean, this is some bullshit. The guy pisses on the conveyor belt and then videotapes it and uploads it.
But he waits 2 years to do it.
I mean, come on. So for 2 years, I've been eating pissy Raisin Bran.
Oh.
I don't know.
So, yeah, a man in Tennessee admitted to peeing on a Kellogg cereal conveyor belt in their manufacturing plant in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, I don't know where the Memphis, Tennessee sends it out to. I'm assuming that goes across country.
Yeah, hopefully not New York.
I bet it does. Hopefully it wasn't the Raisin Bran.
Yeah. And, I'll be a little less upset that I didn't need his urine. So
now, here's my thing. Like, you hear about the fast food employee that it just happened last month. He spit in somebody's pizza or something and mixed it in. And
yeah,
you always hear about McDonald's employees spitting in their food. And
I never send food back. Yeah, I never.
Neither do I. I'll pick whatever. If I ask for no pickles, I never ask for no pickles.
Yeah, but if you did, I'd pick them off. Just listen, they're gonna screw your food up, but never piss off the chef. Send your food back and salt them, and then you think it's gonna friggin' come out.
But you hear about it all the time. And my question is. Like, in this one, nobody pissed him off. So why are you doing it?
Because he's an asshole. He's an asshole.
But, and then he videotapes it and what does he think the world's going to be like, aha, you got them. The world eats the fucking cereal, stupid.
Yeah, right now they want to hang your ass.
Oh.
I mean, think about it. The more I think about it, if I ever need a job, I guess I'll go to Kellogg's because they will hire any idiot.
That's right.
And really, when you Google it and Google if you're paying attention, why don't you put this guy's picture up?
Yeah, this would fall under idiot.
Yeah, because I know somebody over to Google or somebody on the board eats Kellogg's cereal.
But this guy, what was his name? Stanton. I didn't put it on his first name. He doesn't deserve a first name. But
no.
He's going to get sentenced in February, and he faces up to 3 years in prison and 3 years of supervised release afterwards with a $250,000 fine, which, not to say anything bad about Kellogg's or their workers, but he's not going to be able to afford a $250,000 fine.
Yeah, you're never going to, listen, you can make $250, you might as well make the fine $250 million. He's never going to pay.
He's never going to pay it.
The guy's going to do a third, get out on good behavior, and then he's going to have his probation. He's going to have a judgment for $250,000, and life's just going to go on for this guy. In the meantime, America, he pissed in our cereal, and we ate it.
So, but here's my thing. Ben likes to go into Benland a lot. So I read this article, and then I drifted off into Benland.
Oh, boy.
And this is what I pictured. So now Stanton's in prison.
Yeah.
Right? And he's been put on the food line. He has to pass out everybody's breakfast. And they forced this guy to hand out little boxes of Kellogg cereal to all the inmates. What do you think these inmates do to him?
Yeah, I think they're going to piss in his food and he's going to eat it, because if they serve Kellogg's in the prison.
Could you imagine?
One of them guys even thinks that they ate cereal with this guy's urine in it, he's screwed.
Because what people don't realize is in prison, these guys find out what you did. So if you're a baby raper,
they always find out.
And it's always a level of what,
yeah,
either you're the tough guy or this, but something happens to you because of it.
Yeah, listen, you can murder 35 people in a nightclub. You go to prison for smacking a baby, they're killing the guy who smacked the baby.
Yeah.
It's just, it's the hard reality.
Yep.
So, this guy is probably going to be in some kind of segregation, because this is what they should do. The ultimate thing here should be shame. There should be a picture of this guy that goes out on a bulletin, on a poster, and said, "This guy pissed in your cereal. Here's what he looks like, and here's where he lives."
I just hope he has to pass it out in the jail. So that would just be beautiful to me.
That would just be, you know what? That's poetic justice right there.
All right, let's move on to something that's going to piss me off again.
Oh, Michael.
So this boy was born a girl, and I get it. It's a thing nowadays. I'm never going to understand it. I'm never going to understand why we've made it like this public policy. I watched a video this morning of some quote-unquote boy sitting in a urinal, or sitting in a shitter inside a school with the door locked, and filming them breaking into his thing. So he's sitting there, and you can see the stick come up and physically unlock the door to kick it in. Now, that tells me right there that this person has done something that they're not supposed to do.
Right.
Has been in there long enough and refused to come out, and is just creating a scene.
Yeah.
Now, but we won't get into this. But I'm not even going to say the name because they're young, even though the article said the name. Which,
yeah, let's leave the name out.
It drives me nuts because I believe it's only a 15-year-old person. But this person was born in a female body, but does not feel like a girl. Now, that's a big all right. So last time we did a transgender conversation, I don't know if I stated this enough. The problem I have with transgender is that they say that they don't feel like a girl, but we have spent the last 30 years trying to say that boys and girls aren't supposed to feel a certain way, that boys are boys and girls are girls just because of penises and vagina. But now all of a sudden we're doing the whole, well, no, I'm really a girl. No, you're not really a girl. You're a boy. You were born with a penis. You just like acting like you think a girl should act, even though to say a girl should act like that, I'm sexist.
I don't know what you are, but I'm definitely confused.
My thing is transgenderism is an attention grabber, and I'm not saying that's for 100% of them.
No, because listen, I think and I'm going to agree with you and I'm going to disagree with you. I believe there is legitimate transgender people out there, but I believe there's a lot of people out there playing the transgender card that are not.
That's my problem.
And it's making...
But now society has to convert for them. Whereas the people who are really transgender, they don't care if they have to go in the men's room.
No, they probably don't.
These 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old boys and girls in school who are doing it for attention, and who the American Academy of Pediatrics is saying that we should, as parents and physicians, support a child's gender choice and provide gender-affirming and developmentally appropriate health care. So they're saying that at 12, 13, 14, and 15, we should accept that our child is saying that they're the opposite sex. Give them hormone changing therapy so that they don't hit puberty, because they say that they're confused, or not confused, that they say that they're different. But at the same time, some of these 13-year-olds still believe in fucking Santa Claus. Some of these 13-year-olds are going to grow up to be a 39-year-old man who still doesn't know what the fuck he wants to be.
Yeah.
You know?
It's such a touchy subject for me because I definitely feel for the, true transgender people. I think their struggle is real, but I also believe it's polluted with a lot of people that are full of shit.
So
and are just working the system.
So I don't know if I put it in here.
I don't think you did because just
so
you guys can't see, but I do read a lot of the stuff that Ben gives me.
Oh, here it is. No, I got it right here. So every kid wants to be different. All right, especially the outcasts. So the kids that get picked on in school from kindergarten through like 5th grade, all of a sudden, and I was one of them, they start acting out and they do weird things. And this person always has a quote unquote splash of rainbow: shoelaces, a bow tie, a pin. Her cropped brown hair even has swirls, shades of blue. So right there, it's telling me, from a psychological point of view, which I don't understand why more psychologists just accept this instead of going after it a little bit. But this person is already seeking attention. So they've been getting a lot of negative attention, and then they continue to do weird things to get more attention because that's the only attention they get. That's why children, say I had a boy and all I did was beat him from the time he was born until he was 18 years old. For the most part, that child is going to take that beating as a sign of affection. They take the attention that they can take. So this person's acting out to get attention. Now, when I was a kid, it was being gay. People were all of a sudden, I'm gay. You don't even know what the fuck gay means. You're in 4th grade.
Yeah.
All right. And people were coming out as gay, but now they're stuck being gay. And then you come out 40 and they're like, yeah, I wasn't really gay, but it takes that long because they've been telling this lie to so many people and they need it to be true. And then like when you were a kid, it was like the color socks you wore. I mean,
yeah, it's just,
you wanted to stand out. So like, I think it was, I can't remember if you had white socks, you were the poor guy, or was it the colored socks? I can't remember.
But
it was something like that.
It's all fun and games till you date me back past where I really am.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You like that little hee hee?
Yeah, I do. And we had to wear those really tight gym shorts.
Yeah.
We were watching a movie the other night, and the gym teacher came out, and he had those real tight gym shorts on. They weren't very long, and all I could think of was, oh my, I remember as a kid growing up, my gym teacher used to wear those, and I thought it was funny back then. But
that's my big problem with it, though, is just like I said, those people that you find out, they're like, yeah, I'm not gay anymore.
Yeah, I wonder what the percentages are. I mean, it's.
But once you go through the
hard
hormone therapy, 20 years from now, you're fucked.
Yeah, it's gonna fuck you up for sure.
And you cannot tell me that all these 13, 14, 15-year-olds, and we're so quick to just accept it, and don't kid yourself. A 13, 14, or 15-year-old can lie straight to your face, and you'll never know.
Right.
Everybody likes to think that they know, but no.
Yeah, no, they don't.
A lot of the times...
I was that age once.
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times, I think it's just an attention grab, and then in 20 years, they're going to regret the decision, but there's nothing that they can do anymore.
Yeah.
That's my problem with it. And that I have to change everything. You look like a boy, I say, hey, sir, and now I'm in fucking trouble.
Yeah.
All right, our Purple Politics topic of the week is lame duck sessions. This is something that flows on both sides of the aisle, even though lately it's just a GOP thing.
Well, I think it's a GOP thing because the GOPs are on their way out and the Dems are on their way in.
Exactly.
So that makes it really more of a GOP issue, but this is no innocent party here.
Right.
Be it Republican or Democrat, there's no innocence here.
Right. So a lame duck session essentially is just people have been elected into office And instead of like the Republicans replacing a Republican or just staying in office, now the Democrats are replacing a Republican,
Right.
but they're not coming in until January. So you have from November till January to pass bills and laws and legislations. And when you do this, a lot of the times it is for the wrong reason. You're just trying to limit, like what's going on in Wisconsin and Michigan right now. They're trying to limit the power of the incoming governor.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Right. But there's also, so right now what's going on, they got, Wisconsin has like these bills that would limit early voting. They're trying to make it so that the governor has to have certain people that normally he just appoints. They have to be approved by the legislation because the legislation's still going to be Republican.
Right.
Block other governors' office rules. And just limit the power. Now, some of the reasons that they do this is because, according to them, and truthfully, they got elected.
Right.
They were elected, and they were going to do this, this, and this for the people that elected them. And they've been trying and trying and trying, and they just assumed that they'd make it into power next, and they didn't. But the stuff is still in session, so they're like, "Well, we take away control of the governor. He can't veto that bill that I promised these people I do." So it's not as dirty as everybody wants to say.
Right.
And it is as dirty as everybody wants to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a twofold issue.
Yeah, because like some of the legislation, the people in power were like, well, we're doing this because we feel that the governor's office has always had too much power. Was that before or after you lost the governor's office? Because you didn't do anything while you were in power.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it's just the bullshit that goes on. Maybe there should be 60 days where they can't pass anything. You got to get all your stuff settled by the time the election kicks off. If it's not settled by then, now all that is, maybe it should be at a standstill till the new party comes in, and that would make everybody more motivated to get as much done as they possibly can.
But here's the flip side to that coin. So all right, so from the day that we elect a new party, you can't put any new bills into session. The reason why some of this stuff happens is because they already have bills
in session
that they don't want to get vetoed. So on the flip side, should we say, and everything that we've already decided can't be taken out? Because the whole reason why we elect a new party might be because we want to overturn the abortion rule, whichever way they're going.
Right.
Pro or con. Because I think that was one of them, was that they had an anti-abortion thing going through, and they just know that the new governor coming in is going to be like, nope, we're not going to do that now.
Yeah, probably. And you know what? Here's the thing. If these bills are already in a session, and if they're doing their job correctly, these bills aren't floating around forever.
Right.
They don't have to. They do because they're being moved around like chess pieces.
Yeah, I was wondering why, some of these things that you promised people 2 years ago are just happening now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if somebody's fighting them or...
Well, you know what? They don't try and pass it unless they have enough votes. So it just kind of sits. So my thought is get all your bills that you want passed in order, because come election day, that's it.
So some of these proposed changes that would cut the lame duck sessions, one of them is to like move up legislators' swearing in dates as early as possible. So after the election. So instead of waiting until January, well, one thing I realized is it's already been done before.
Right.
It used to be March. You didn't get sworn in until March of the next year, and now it's January.
Right.
So they've already done that. And you in my eyes, and this is in all honesty, I elected you for 2 years. And now these guys have unelected you in November. But I elected you for 2 years. So your 2 years is you still got November and December left.
Right.
So I get that you're being dirty, or you might be being dirty, but you might also just be trying to fulfill some of those
So
promises.
you're following
that you did.
through what you promised the people that put you in. But if their opinion is changed,
Right.
you're
No,
gonna-
I give you that.
You're gonna, that's why I said it's a twofold issue.
So another thing that they put in, and I like this one. So it kind of takes what you say, is that there is no more politics.
Right.
There's no more laws except in emergency business. So say
Perfect.
you're down south and a hurricane
Yeah,
hits.
perfect.
We need to do something. You can do it.
Perfect. Yep,
I like that
perfect.
too.
That's exactly how I would
But
handle it.
I also like all right, the incoming governor can't just veto everything because I mean, it takes a process for things to happen. So if I put it into process before the election,
Yeah.
and it went through and it passed, anything after the election, whatever, but before the election, it was still a Republican controlled whatever.
Yeah. And listen, I don't think the incoming should just be able to veto shit like that. And, just because that's not what their party believes. I mean, though these bills are put into place because the people that elected them at the time, this is what they wanted. But I think you freeze everything for that 2-month period, unless you have an emergency. And when they come in, maybe they should have to be rehashed. Do you see what I'm saying? Listen, the Democrats don't like this. The governor wants to veto it. Make it so he can't veto it. Make it go all the way back through the process again, unless it's detrimental to society.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I think a lot of times it ends up being like abortion bullshit.
Yeah, you know what it is? Listen. Roe v. Wade was in whatever year. I don't know, okay? The Supreme Court's heard it. It's over. It is what it is.
I agree.
They've already worked it out. Now, people are going to hear me say that, and they're going to think I'm for abortion. I'm not.
Yeah, abortion's another purple topic.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think abortion is a personal choice.
it's also not black and white.
No, it's not black and white, and every situation's different.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too far off from, what we are, but I'm just saying, this also protects the people, to have maybe a few rules in place like this. This protects the everyday individual that's out there working or whatever from some politician being spiteful and doing things.
Yeah. Another thing that
Because we know how honest politicians are.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
But another topic on the lame duck session is that with the Wisconsin and Michigan thing, and lately the way everything is just Republicans are assholes and
Something's
Democrats
going on in Chicago
are great.
too. Something's going on. I think it's Chicago too.
But they're trying to make it seem like only the GOP does it.
No, it's not.
And then by doing that, everybody's like, oh, well, a Democratic governor, Jim Hunt, I won't say the year, he came in and asked for the resignation of all the Republican employees from the previous administration. But that happened so long ago that everybody's like, well, you can't talk about that because it was over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So I went through and I found some things that, like Obama. On November 15th, as Obama and Trump are about to transition, the House passed an Iran Sanctions Act. The Senate adopted it December 1st. And President Obama, he allowed the bill to become law, but he refused to sign it.
Right.
Also, Obama urged passage of another major bill, the 21st Century Cures Act. I'm not exactly sure what that does. Oh, significant funding for medical research, as well as an accelerated review process for new drugs and medical devices. Now, I don't know if he thought that Trump was going to be against it, but this article made it seem like he tried to push it through. I mean, everybody does it. So when you know the next person's coming in, like I said before, you got things that you've promised or things that you think are good for the country, and you were elected to be good to do the things that were good for the country. I'm going to try to get it in there. Everybody hates Trump.
Right.
So why wouldn't Obama try to get the things in there?
And that's why, I say, it only seems like a GOP thing because so many GOP are going out, so many Dems are coming in.
Right. And
both sides are guilty. There is no innocence.
I'm not putting money on it.
Aisle.
I don't see Trump making it another round, but I do see when he doesn't make it, we'll be hearing all about these lame duck sessions.
Yeah. And, I'll tell you this, all the experts said, oh, he's not going to get elected. He's not going to get elected. And my wife will tell you, I said, they can say that as much as they want, but he's got momentum.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew, I had a feeling that he was going to win, and my wife will tell you that.
Yeah, Hillary was just too sure. That was her problem.
Yeah. She was overconfident, and there was, they all have managers, and they suggest this, that, and the other thing, and I don't know if she got bad advice or what, but she lost. She won the popular vote, which means nothing. She lost. Bush, 43 got in, and he didn't win the popular vote. Al Gore did.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't remember that. And
no, I remember.
it was probably about the same margin, but they didn't hate on Bush as much as they hated on Trump. So it fizzled out a lot faster.
But Bush wasn't as controversial. Trump is deliberately controversial because but that's business,
and that's his base,
and he knows how to work it.
Yeah, so this isn't just the GOP thing.
I think popular vote will be a purple topic coming up. I don't know when.
Should be a popular. It should be the popular vote. Listen, I think and this is a topic for another day, but I think the Electoral College, that was good in its day. Everything moves forward in the world, and yet, it's almost like we're still using chisels and tablets to cast the vote.
Like, we will save this for another thing, but I mean, think about what just happened in New York.
Yeah.
All of New York is red. All of it.
Yeah.
Except for 2 tiny dots on the map.
Yeah.
So we'll save that from another time.
Yeah,
let's leave this podcast with this question. Are lame duck sessions bad for democracy? What do you think?
Wow. It's just, there's no definitive answer for me. It just depends on, if whatever they're jamming through helps you or hurts you. If it helps the general public more, obviously, if it helps the general public, I'd be for it. If it hurts them, I'd be against it. So I think between the back and forth between both parties, it probably works out to be the same anyways.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it depends on their motives.
Yeah.
Are they doing something that they promised to do and they were just trying to make sure?
Or is it a malicious act?
Or do they see the next party coming in doing something that is so against their base that they're trying to preemptively strike?
Yeah.
Those two things I can handle, I think, are part of the democratic process.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're just trying to be a dick, you're just a dick.
There's no room for it. A dick's a dick's a dick.
We'll end on that. Well, that's been the Purple Politics Podcast. I'm your host, Ben.
I'm Rick.
You can find us on purplepoliticspodcast.com. Send us over any articles that you'd like us to discuss. My email can be found right up in our contact section. We can be found on Facebook at Politically Purple, Twitter at Rick and Ben. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please like and share us. You can also leave a review. That 5-star, 4-star, 3-star review, whatever you think it is, it's the best way to promote the show. Start a community, get us going, and we'll see you again next week.